Hi. Not long ago, I released a video about how to build a digital reverb using nothing but all-pass filters, and a little inspiration from 1960s German acoustic research. The paper? Colorless Artificial Reverberation by Manfred Schroeder. A delightful read if you're into latency matrices and recursive algorithms. I made a Max for Live device too, available naturally via the link in the description. If you're the kind of sound nerd who likes to get under the hood and see the myriad ways one can manipulate sound, then it's most definitely for you. I trust you'll enjoy it. Now, full disclosure, this isn't exactly influencer territory. I don't expect digital filter topology to be trending on TikTok anytime soon, and my previous videos certainly didn't change that. But then, something rather unexpected happened. A comment appeared. Succinct, erudite, from someone named Vojko V. The question hovered like a brief silence before a round of rakia is raised. Respectful, sharp, followed by a warm burn of realization. Comb filters, not in colorless, but yes, there they were in the sequel. Natural sounding artificial reverberation, Schroeder's follow-up to his first seminal paper. Now here's where the story tilts a bit. Vojko isn't a DSP researcher from Vienna, he's a rapper from Croatia, with millions of streams and an internet presence that suggests he owns at least one velvet tracksuit. Humble, stylish, and able to make a bump and max patch. Which just goes to show, there's a tiny reverberant corner of the internet where a German physicist, a Croatian rapper, and a nerd from Baltimore all quietly intersect. Turns out, reverb nerds are everywhere. And sometimes they're dressed as SoundCloud royalty, so Vojko, thanks. This one's for you. Today I'll explain the role of comb filters in digital reverbs, how all-pass filters can polish the design, and walk through a Max for Live device that brings it all to life, giving you the ability to adjust all the parameters and see and hear how it all works. Let's begin, as all things do, with the comb filters. This is the Max for Live device. It's modeled on the architecture described in Schroeder's 1962 paper, the one where things get a little more textured. The structure? A set of comb filters arranged in parallel, followed by a series of all-pass filters. Controls for reverb time, number of filters, among others, and not to be missed, one elegantly placed stereo width knob, just for fun. This Max for Live device allows you to adjust all the internal parameters of Schroeder's design to see how each affect the sound. A comb filter is essentially a delay line with feedback, but unlike all-pass filters, which adjust time without touching tone, the comb filter has opinions. It creates resonant peaks and notches. In a spectral analysis, it looks like a hair comb, hence the name. Slightly poetic. I'll start with just one comb filter. You hear that? The metallic shimmer? That's the comb filter reinforcing certain frequencies and erasing others. It's a delayed sound, but happening so quickly after the original that you can't separate one from the other. It's not the sound and its delay. They overlap into one, the sum of which you can't separate into two discrete parts. But if I add more comb filters running in parallel at slightly staggered delay times, the sound evolves. Still a bit harsh, but inching toward the sound of a room. Schroeder used multiple comb filters in parallel to stimulate the early reflections you get in a room, a kind of organized chaos, elegantly emulating how a sound reflects off the hard surfaces in a room, creating a scattered array of ever so slightly delayed versions of the original. But wait, there's more. Schroeder's first design, using only all-pass filters, was elegant, efficient, and as he proudly noted, colorless. That was the point. No emphasis on any one frequency. A democratic reverb, if you will. But here's the paradox. Real rooms are not colorless. They are, in fact, kaleidoscopically complex. Some are clad in velvet, others in porcelain tile, their corners curve or don't, their walls reflect or absorb, and all of it affects the sound. Schroeder, ever the scientist with an ear for nuance, recognized this. In his second paper, he introduces comb filters, not to abandon the all-pass filters, but to accessorize them, to begin mimicking the delightful imperfections of real acoustic spaces. His second paper highlights three areas of interest. 1. To mix reverberated sound with the dry direct signal. 2. To introduce a brief but noticeable time gap between the original and the delayed sound, something we now call pre-delay. And 3. to let different frequencies decay at different rates, the way we tend to hear them in real rooms. And this third point is particularly charming, because a comb filter is a delay, and if you place a low-pass filter inside that delay loop, something very natural happens. The high frequencies decay faster. The shimmer fades before the rumble, and just like in real rooms, colorful ones. So what happens if you use a bank of comb filters in parallel? You get something that feels like a room, but listen closely. The high frequencies are a bit pushy. They hover at the front of the mix, sharper, brighter, slightly too eager to be noticed. Enter the color knob. This engages the low-pass filters in the delay loop of the comb filters. Dial it back and the highs decay faster. The brightness tucks itself in, and what remains is something more familiar. A room not just of echoes, but of character. Colorful, comfortably so. Now, enter the all-pass filters. These filters are the opposite of opinionated. They scatter the phase without boosting or cutting anything. It's like dumping marbles down a staircase. Everything arrives late, but nothing gets lost. But why bother? If the comb filters already mimic the brisk reflections off hard surfaces, ceramic tile, marble walls, the occasional glass chandelier, then why invite the all-pass filters at all? They're not here to help with timing. They don't add sparkle and depth. They don't even care about the frequencies, for goodness sake. And yet they arrive anyway. Think of them as the stylist at a dinner party. Not there to speak or even eat, just to quietly adjust the guests' colors, realign their posture, and remove any traces of harshness in their tone. They don't steal the spotlight. They make the others more presentable. In short, they diffuse and smooth. What emerges is less clang and more cloud. The brittle edges of the comb filters dissolve into something diffuse, a smooth, softened wash of sound that, curiously, feels almost natural. So let's compare. Here's the sound of the dry signal. And now here's how it sounds just going through the comb filters. And here's how it sounds if I add the all-pass filters and adjust some of the settings to smooth the edges. Together, the sound begins to resemble something familiar. Maybe a cave, maybe a cathedral, maybe just a room. The comb filters set the architecture of the room. They define its shape and size. But the all-pass filters decide how it's decorated, letting you know you're no longer in a room with 4 white walls and a ceiling, instead leaving you with no confusion that you're in a slightly unreal space where the sound lingers longingly, like a ghost dissolving into the walls, going from the natural to the unnatural. If you go too far, too much feedback, too little variation, you get something strange, beautiful but strange, and that's the charm. The balance of comb filters for early reflections and all-pass filters for dense diffusion remains at the heart of many reverb algorithms today. And while there are more realistic and more complex algorithms available today, this early design still remains as simple, elegant, and effective as it did when it came out. If you'd like to try it for yourself, the Max for Live device is linked below. And let me know what you discover. If you uncover something wonderfully bizarre, leave a comment. You might just inspire the next episode. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and thanks again, Vojko, from one reverb enthusiast to another.